Welcome to the channel where belief beats the odds, where discipline drives destiny, and where your 1% of faith is more than enough to win. If you've ever felt overlooked, doubted, or counted out, this is your home. Because here, we don't wait for permission, we don't beg for applause, we show up, we rise, and we fight with everything we've got. This channel is for the underdog, the warrior, the visionary, the one who keeps moving even when the fire burns low. You don't need perfect conditions, you just need a purpose, and if you're still breathing, you're still in the fight. So if you're ready to walk in power, not popularity, if you're ready to build without approval, and if you're still holding on to that flicker of belief, then hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and let's go build what they said was impossible. You don't need a crowd to believe in you. You don't need a round of applause. You don't even need the conditions to be perfect. You need one thing, a flicker of belief deep down that refuses to die. And here's the truth most people never realize. 1% is enough, if it's real. People think they need to have it all figured out. They think they need the perfect plan, the full support system, all the confidence in the world. But let me tell you something from experience. You can build a mountain with 1% belief if you're willing to climb when no one's watching. Because belief isn't about certainty, it's about courage. It's not about knowing the whole path, it's about taking the next step even when the light only shines 2 feet ahead. That 1% belief, that tiny little ember, it doesn't have to roar like a fire right now. It just has to burn steady enough that you don't quit. That's the kind of belief that builds momentum. It grows in the dark. It grows when you're tired. It grows when you're getting knocked around by life and you still whisper to yourself, I'm not done. I know what it's like to be in a place where the dream feels distant, the odds feel unfair, and the people around you don't see what you see. I've been there. You hear more silence than support. You get more questions than answers. And if you're not careful, you start talking yourself out of what was once so clear in your heart. That's when you have to anchor yourself in that 1%. Not the 100% you wish you had. Not the 50% that would make you comfortable. Just the 1% that says, I'm still in this. That's what moves you forward. That's what gets you back up after you've failed for the 3rd time, the 10th time. That's what lets you start over at 40 or 50 or 60, while others are busy settling for average. That's what makes you dangerous, because you're no longer relying on emotion, you're driven by conviction. Listen, if it takes you 5 years to reach your dream, but you never gave up, you never quit, you never let that belief die, then you've already won. That's what greatness is. Greatness doesn't always look like a viral moment. It doesn't always look like applause and trophies and praise. Sometimes it looks like staying in the fight when nobody else gets why you're swinging. You know what 1% belief looks like in real life. It's the single mother waking up early to build something better for her kids. It's the man who's been rejected over and over, but still knocks on the next door. It's the student who doesn't come from much, but walks into the classroom like they're meant to be there. It's the artist, the writer, the builder, the dreamer, still putting in work after everyone else quit. That's power, and here's the truth, belief compounds, that 1% becomes 2%, then 5%, then 10%, not because it magically grows, but because you keep feeding it. Every time you push forward when it would have been easier to sit down, you're feeding it. Every time you show up when no one's cheering, you're feeding it. Every time you look in the mirror and say, not yet, but soon, you're feeding it. Don't underestimate what God can do with 1%. Don't overlook what discipline, consistency, and raw grit can multiply. We're so used to looking for big breaks that we forget breakthroughs come in inches, not miles. Your breakthrough might not be tomorrow, but if you don't quit today, you stay in position to receive it. You don't need the world to clap. You don't need 10,000 likes. You don't need a room full of yes men telling you you're good enough. You need you. You need that deep, quiet voice that says, we're not backing down. Because if you have that, there's not a mountain too high, not a valley too low, not a storm too wild. That's how legacies are made. 1%, that's the spark. And sometimes the smallest flame is what lights the biggest fire. Faith doesn't wait for the odds to be fair. It doesn't sit back and calculate every risk before taking the first step. Faith doesn't care if the road is clear or if the voices around you are cheering you on. Real belief steps out while everything still looks uncertain. It moves before the door opens, before the results are guaranteed, before your confidence shows up. Why? Because deep down, there's something inside that refuses to settle. Something that says, I know what I saw, and I know what I'm called to do. We live in a world where everyone's waiting for the green light, the sign, the perfect timing. People say, I'll start when I'm ready. I'll launch when I have more support. I'll commit when it makes more sense. But here's the truth. By the time it makes sense to everybody else, it's already too late to lead. Vision comes before clarity, and most people never move because they're waiting for certainty that never comes. If you wait for perfect, you'll be waiting for the rest of your life. Faith moves when it's messy. Faith says, I'm going to walk this path even if I can't see past the first few steps. It trusts that the details will unfold as you move. And if they don't, you adjust, you adapt, but you don't stop. You don't freeze up just because the conditions aren't ideal. The greatest breakthroughs in your life won't happen when everything feels safe. They'll happen when you decide the dream is worth the risk. You see, it's easy to say you believe in something when the odds are stacked in your favor. It's easy to talk about your purpose when the room is full of applause. But what happens when the crowd leaves? What happens when the plan falls apart and the critics show up louder than the cheerleaders? That's where faith is tested. That's when belief either grows or dies. Some of you are waiting for things to feel right before you move, and that's exactly what's keeping you stuck. You think belief is a feeling, but belief is a decision. You don't move because it's easy. You move because you refuse to stay where you are. You step up not because the fear is gone, but because your purpose is louder than your panic. You know who wins in life. It's not the smartest person in the room. It's not the one with the cleanest resume or the most connections. It's the one who's willing to move when the odds are 10 to 1 against them. The one who walks in the room like they belong, even when no one else believes they do. The one who trusts that what's burning inside them matters more than what's happening around them. Don't you dare shrink your dream to fit the comfort of your current circumstances. Don't you dare sit down because the path ahead isn't paved yet. You weren't meant to follow a clear trail. You were meant to build one. That's what belief does. It builds while others hesitate. It pushes forward while others overthink. It says, I might not have all the answers, but I'm moving anyway. Listen, I'm not saying it won't be scary. I'm not saying there won't be days you question everything. But faith doesn't eliminate fear. It just refuses to be controlled by it. And that's a choice you have to make every day. A choice to act. A choice to believe again, even when the disappointment is still fresh. A choice to trust that the work you put in today is preparing you for the moment you've been praying for. So maybe the odds aren't fair. Maybe you weren't handed the easiest start. Maybe the people you thought would support you walked away. That's not your excuse, it's your edge, because now you've got nothing to lose. Now you get to rise without waiting for permission. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to believe enough to take the next step. One more step. One more decision to trust the process. One more moment of courage that keeps the flame alive when the wind is trying to blow it out. That's what it takes, not perfection, just persistence, not certainty, just the courage to start, because belief was never about waiting. Belief was about moving anyway. If you're still breathing, you're still in the fight. You might be tired, frustrated, confused, but you're not finished. You might feel like you've been overlooked, knocked down, or pushed aside, but you're not out. You're still here, and as long as you're here, you still have something left to give. Something inside you is still burning, even if it's just an ember. That means the fight's not over. We've been conditioned to believe that struggle is a sign of failure, that if it hurts, it must not be working, that if we're bruised, we're broken. But I'm telling you right now, the ones who are in the fight are the ones who feel it the most. That tired feeling, that means you're showing up. That ache in your bones, that means you're growing. That silence you hear from people around you, that means you're not catering to the crowd. You're committed to the calling. You don't have to be flashy to be powerful. You don't have to be loud to make impact. You don't need to be seen to matter. Sometimes the most powerful people in the room are the ones who are still standing when everyone else has left. They don't show off. They don't look for sympathy. They just stay in the fight. You know what gets most people to quit? Fatigue, not because they're weak, but because they've been carrying weight that nobody else sees. They've been waking up early, staying up late, pushing through doubt, pushing through pain. Not getting recognition, not getting applause, just getting back up every single day. If that's you, I want you to hear this. You are stronger than you think. And just because you're tired doesn't mean it's over. It means you're in motion. It means you're building something real. It's easy to throw in the towel when things don't go your way. It's easy to quit when people stop noticing. It's easy to retreat when the fire burns low. But if you're still breathing, you've still got breath to speak life over your future. You've still got time to pivot, to rise, to heal, to win. You're still in the arena, and being in the arena means you've got purpose left to fulfill. There are people who started stronger than you when they quit. There are people who had more resources, more talent, more favor, and they gave up when it got hard, but not you. You're still here. You've taken some hits. You've faced disappointments. You've questioned your path, but you didn't tap out. You didn't let the pain cancel your promise. You've come too far to let tired stop you now. You've seen too much to pretend the fight's not worth it. You've sacrificed too much to leave your destiny in the hands of defeat. The scars you carry aren't signs of weakness. They're proof that you were willing to bleed for something that mattered. Don't worry if no one's clapping. Don't worry if no one sees your grind. You're not here for validation. You're here for victory. This isn't about ego. It's about endurance. It's about staying rooted when everything around you is trying to shake you loose. It's about holding on to the vision even when it's hard to see it clearly. Look around you. This fight you're in isn't random. The resistance isn't an accident. The pressure you feel isn't pointless. It's preparing you. It's refining you. You're being shaped into someone who can handle the weight of what's coming next. The dream isn't dead. The calling hasn't expired. And the fire in your soul, it didn't burn out. It just needed air. So take a breath, reset, reframe, and remind yourself of one thing: you're not done yet. This isn't the chapter where you quit. This is the chapter where you dig deeper, where you fight harder, where you learn to breathe through the pressure and push anyway. Because tired doesn't mean stop. It means rest, then go again. Doubt doesn't mean quit. It means remind yourself who you are. Pain doesn't mean punishment. It means you're being stretched, strengthened, sharpened. All of it is working if you stay in the fight. You're not disqualified because you're struggling. You're not weak because you're worn. You're not finished because you're frustrated. If you're still breathing, you're still in the fight. Discipline will carry you when motivation won't. Motivation is a spark. It feels good. It fires you up. It gives you that push to get started. But it's not built to last. You can't rely on a mood to build your future. You can't depend on inspiration to show up for you every morning, because some days you're not going to feel like doing anything. You're not going to feel focused. You're not going to feel strong. You might not even feel like you're making progress at all. And that's when it matters most. That's where discipline steps in. Discipline is showing up whether you feel like it or not. Discipline is doing the work when nobody's watching. It's doing it without applause, without hype, without a guarantee of success. It's repeating the process until the results show up. Not because it's easy, but because your purpose is bigger than your feelings. Feelings are fleeting. They rise and fall. They're tied to your mood, your environment, your energy. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. It cares what you committed to. It holds you accountable when your emotions try to make excuses. Discipline says, we said we'd do this, so we're doing it. You ever had a day where everything in you wanted to quit, but you kept going anyway? That's discipline, that's belief in motion. It's the voice inside that whispers, I'm tired, but I'm not done. I don't feel it today, but I'm still here. That voice, that's what changes lives. That's what builds champion. You don't build a strong body by working out once when you're excited. You build it by showing up to the gym when you're sore, when you're tired, when the weather's bad, when your head's not in it. But you show up anyway. You don't build a strong business by taking action only when the market looks good. You build it by taking action daily, no matter what the headlines say. That's discipline, and it's the same with your mindset. You don't build mental toughness by watching one motivational video. You build it by choosing better thoughts every day, by getting uncomfortable, by sticking to your plan even when your mind tries to talk you out of it. Motivation might get you started, but discipline keeps you going. It's easy to start strong. That's not the hard part. Anyone can start a project, sign up for a challenge, post their goals online. But when it stops being fun, when the results slow down, when the noise quiets, that's when most people tap out. That's when discipline separates the committed from the curious. You've got to decide what you're really about. Are you in this because it's exciting, or are you in this because it's your calling? Because if it's your calling, you're going to show up whether it's raining or shining, whether you're clapping or crying, whether you're full of fire or barely holding on. There are going to be seasons in your life where everything feels like resistance, like no matter how hard you push, the door just won't open. And if you're only relying on motivation during those seasons, you're going to fold. But if you've trained yourself to stay disciplined, you'll keep pushing until something breaks loose. That's where the breakthroughs live, not in the hype, but in the grind. Discipline isn't about being perfect. It's not about being robotic. It's about being consistent. It's about honoring your word to yourself even when it's inconvenient. It's about saying, this matters enough to me that I'm not waiting on motivation to show up. I'm already moving. The most successful people you admire, they're not always motivated. They just decided that quitting isn't an option. They decided they'd rather be exhausted from discipline than regretful from excuses. That's a choice. That's something you make again and again, every morning, every night. So when the alarm goes off and your body says, not today, let your purpose speak louder. When the work gets boring and your mind says, this isn't worth it, remind yourself what you're building. When the crowd disappears and nobody's cheering, remember, it was never about them. It's always been about you keeping your word to the person you're becoming. You want to change your life, build discipline. Because when the feelings fade, that's what keeps you in the fight. Don't look for approval. Look for purpose. Too many people spend their lives trying to get applause for something they were never meant to explain. They wait for a nod, for validation, for someone to say, yes, that's a good idea. Yes, you're on the right path. But what happens when no one sees it? What happens when the people closest to you don't understand your vision? Do you stop? Do you slow down? Or do you decide, once and for all, that purpose is enough? See, people may not see what you see, and they're not supposed to. You were given the vision, not them. That dream in your heart, that calling on your life. It wasn't sent out as a group email. It came to you, and if you're waiting for everyone else to understand it before you move, you'll never go anywhere. Because most people can't recognize greatness when it's still in seed form. They can't celebrate a blueprint. They only clap for the finished building. But you have to move anyway. You have to build when no one's watching. You have to create before the critics get it. That's what separates leaders from spectators. Spectators wait until something is proven. Leaders act when it's just a whisper, and whispers don't come with applause. They come with responsibility. Stop looking over your shoulder, hoping someone signs off on your life. That's not their job. It's not your partner's job. It's not your friend's job. It's not your parents' job. It's your job, because you're the one who has to wake up every day and live it. You're the one who has to carry it through the hard seasons. You're the one who's going to have to answer for what you didn't do because you were too afraid of what people would think. Approval is addictive and dangerous. You can chase it so long that you forget what you were running toward in the first place. But purpose keeps you grounded. Purpose tells you we're not doing this for them. We're doing this because we were born for it. Purpose reminds you that silence from others isn't the same as failure. It reminds you that sometimes the people who love you the most will understand you the least, not because they don't care, but because your vision wasn't given to them. When you stop chasing approval, you get your power back. You stop editing yourself just to fit someone else's comfort zone. You stop watering down your vision to make it easier to swallow. You stop explaining your moves to people who were never meant to walk your path in the first place. And you start building, you start leading, you start showing up fully, not to be liked, but to live in alignment with what you were created to do. That's where your freedom is. That's where your impact begins. There will always be people who don't get it, people who question why you're working so hard, why you're dreaming so big, why you won't settle for good enough. Let them talk, let them wonder, because the same people who once doubted you will one day ask how you did it. And when they do, you won't point to approval, you'll point to purpose. Purpose is what lets you show up even when the room is cold, even when the response is flat, even when the crowd isn't clapping. Because you know you're not performing, you're fulfilling. So the next time you feel the urge to ask someone else what they think of your dream, stop. Ask yourself what your purpose requires. Ask yourself who you need to become to carry it. Ask yourself if you're willing to go alone for a while, if it means going the right way, because sometimes that's exactly what it takes. The truth is, not everyone will understand your calling, and that's okay. It's not their calling, it's yours, and the sooner you stop waiting for permission, the sooner you'll start walking in power. The world may count you out, but belief counts you in. There are going to be people who doubt you. People who roll their eyes when you speak. People who talk behind your back, saying you don't have what it takes. They'll judge you by your past, by your current circumstances, by the limitations they see. But here's what they'll never understand. They're not the ones who define you. Their doubt has no power unless you let it. You weren't built to be understood by everyone. You were built to keep rising even when they say you shouldn't. Let them doubt you, let them whisper, let them laugh, but hold on to that 1%, that flicker of belief, that tiny spark that says this story's not over yet. Because as long as you've got that, you're not done. You're not finished, you're not out, you're still in the ring, and that makes you dangerous. That makes you a threat to every excuse, every limitation, every ceiling they tried to put over your life. People love to count others out before the final round. They love to decide who's worth listening to, who's allowed to lead, who's likely to win. But what they don't see is what's happening inside of you. They don't see the discipline you've been building in silence. They don't see the late nights, the early mornings, the hours you've spent preparing when no one was watching. They don't know what it's like to carry a vision that won't let you quit. And they don't have to, because belief isn't about proving people wrong. It's about proving yourself right. It's about showing up for yourself when nobody else shows up. It's about knowing deep down that even if the crowd walks away, your mission still matters. You still matter, you still have something to give, something to build, something to become. You've got to stop waiting for the world to recognize your value. That's not their job, that's yours. Your job is to believe when others don't. Your job is to speak life over your future, even when your current situation feels silent. Your job is to show up with fire in your eyes and purpose in your heart, because you know that what's inside you is bigger than anything they've said about you. Let them walk away, let them turn their backs, that's fine, because you're not here to be accepted by everyone. You're here to be obedient to what's been placed in you. You're here to finish something you started. And sometimes that means walking forward without the fanfare. Sometimes it means building without the credit, leading without applause, rising without recognition. But here's the truth. They can count you out 1,000 times. As long as you keep believing, as long as you refuse to quit, you count yourself in. That 1%, that belief that refuses to die, it's enough to flip the script. It's enough to shift the momentum. It's enough to turn a breakdown into a breakthrough. Don't let someone else's limited perspective shrink your potential. Don't let their opinions become your prison. They may have written you off, but that's because they didn't write your story. They don't know what's about to unfold. They don't know how much fire is still left in you, how much fight is still in your spirit, how many late nights you've endured, how many times you've said, "Not today, I'm not quitting today." You're still standing for a reason, still here for a reason, still breathing because your purpose hasn't been fulfilled yet. And the longer you stay in the fight, the more dangerous you become, because belief multiplies, discipline stacks. Purpose grows deeper, and when all of that is moving inside of you, there's no force strong enough to stop you, except you. So keep walking, keep building, keep rising, even if no one believes in you. Even if the support fades, even if the odds are ridiculous, because if that 1% of belief is still alive in you, you've already got what you need to keep going. The world may count you out, but belief counts you in. If this message lit a spark in you, hold on to it. Don't just watch, walk it out, because belief without action dies in silence. But you're still in the fight, and now you've got tools, not just motivation. So if today's message reminded you that discipline matters more than emotion, that you don't need the crowd, you just need the calling, then do this. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment saying I'm still fighting. We're not here for hype, we're here for transformation. 1% at a time, remember, the world may count you out, but belief counts you in, and here we never back down. See you in the next one.